Converting measures. Converting measures is like changing inches to feet or feet to miles or hours to minutes. And everybody does this all the time. But one of the places that I really used it was when I was living in Namibia. Because when I lived in Namibia, we use the metric system all the time. They don't use the United States system of feet and pounds. So I was converting measures all the time. But we're familiar that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches, 1 yard is 3 feet, and maybe you know that 1 mile is 5,280 feet. In Namibia, and actually most of the world, they don't use our system, they use the metric system. So they know what a meter is, which is actually about a yard. They know what centimeters are, and they know what kilometers are. When I was there, I was converting back and forth between the two systems. So, for example, 1 inch is equal to about 2.5 centimeters, and 1 mile is equal to 1.61 kilometers. One of the things that I would convert when I was in Namibia was distance. So I lived in the village of Onamutai, which is in the north of Namibia, and I would often go to the capital, so we'd have to head south, and there is Windhoek, the capital. So, if Onamutai is 720 kilometers from the capital Windhoek, how far is that in miles? So I'm going to write down 720 kilometers, and I'm going to use a conversion factor. So I'm going to multiply that times a conversion factor, which is a ratio. And this is from the information we just saw, that 1 mile is equal to 1 61/100 kilometers. So you can see that this conversion factor is the two things that were equal. 1 mile is equal to 1 61/100 kilometers. So I'm going to multiply this ratio or fraction times this one. So 720, how do I turn it into a fraction? I put it over 1. We want miles, and I had to put the conversion factor in a particular order. I had to put miles on top because I need to have kilometers in the bottom so that I have kilometers in the numerator and the denominator, and they cancel out. So that when I multiply, I have 720 times 1 mile, which is 720 miles, over 1 times 1 61/100. And there's no kilometers left because they canceled out. So this is my answer. Now all I need to do is clean this fraction up, make it look better. It is an improper fraction because the numerator is larger than the denominator. So we need to say, how many times does 1 61/100 go into 720? That's a division problem. So I'm going to do 720 divided by 1 61/100, which comes out to 448 miles. So I lived about 448 miles from the capital. Alright, so when I lived in Namibia, 1 American dollar was equal to about 8 Namibian dollars. If Stocky charged me 25 Namibian dollars, how much was my haircut in American dollars? So we need to start with the Namibian $25, and I want to convert it to American dollars. So I need to multiply times my conversion factor, and my conversion factor needs to be 1 American dollar compared to 8 Namibian dollars. Now, just like before, turning this one into a fraction as well, you can see that the Namibian dollars are in the numerator, and in the conversion factor they're in the denominator. They cancel out, leaving only American dollars. Then we finish by multiplying the fractions. 25 times $1 is $25. The denominator is 1 times 8, which is 8. And we have a improper fraction again, so we need to simplify this. We want to say how many 8s go into 25. Well, we can do 25 divided by 8 equals about $3.12. So my haircut costs $3.12 in American money. Sometimes when a student did really well, we would go to the cuca shop and I would buy them a Coke. The pop came in 350 milliliter bottles. How many ounces is that? So 350 milliliters times our conversion factor, and our conversion factor is given in the hint. 1 ounce is equal to about 30 milliliters. So I got 1 ounce over 30 milliliters. I check to make sure that my units cancel out. We got 350 milliliters over 1. The numerator has a milliliters. The denominator has a milliliters. They cancel out. Now I'm ready to multiply. 350 times 1 ounce is 350 ounces. 1 times 30 is 30. Again, we have an improper fraction, so I need to simplify it. I want to say how many 30s go into 350. So I'm going to divide. I've got 350 divided by 30 equals 11.6 ounces. So that 350 milliliter bottle that you see in the picture is 11 6/10 ounces. There's not much public transportation in Namibia, so I often hitched rides in the back of trucks. It could be really kind of scary sometimes if they drove too fast. How fast is 120 kilometers per hour in miles per hour? This one's a little bit different than before because it's not just one unit. We've got kilometers and hours. So when I write down 120 kilometers per hour, I'm going to write it as a ratio. I have 120 kilometers over or per hour, per 1 hour. I need to multiply times my conversion factor. I need to change the kilometers to miles. So I'm going to put miles in the top, and it was 1 mile is equal to 1 61/100 kilometers. If you forget this, you can always look it up. Now in this case, we're changing it to miles per hour, so we can leave the hours alone. They're going to stay the same. But we do have a kilometer in the numerator and the denominator, and I cross them off. And then I can finish by multiplying my two ratios or fractions. So 120 times 1 is 120 miles. The denominator is 1 hour times 1 61/100. So 1 times anything stays the same, so it's 1 61/100 of an hour. This is an improper fraction, so I need to say how many times does 1 61/100 go into 120. So we can divide. So we got 120 divided by 1 61/100 equals 4.5 miles per hour, which is kind of fast to be riding in the back of a pickup. You have no seat belts. It's a little bit scary. Alright, last one, and also probably the most difficult problem. We didn't have running water. We would fetch water from a community water tap, and it's kind of hard to see. These kids are standing in front of it, but we would go there and we would fill up our jugs of water, and then we would bring them home. It took about 5 minutes to fill my 25-liter can. How much water would flow in gallons per hour? So, this is what happened in real life. We had 25 liters per 5 minutes. And to make this easier, I can simplify this right now. So 25 over 5, if I simplified that by dividing the numerator and denominator by 5, that would become 5 liters in 1 minute. And we want to change that to gallons per hour. So we're going to multiply by a conversion factor. We need to change liters to gallons. And 1 gallon is equal to 3.785 liters. So I'm going to go ahead and cross out what I don't want anymore. The liters in the numerator and denominator are canceled out. But we have a problem. We're still gallons per minute. We need to change it to hours. So we need another conversion factor. And we put 60 minutes in the numerator is 1 hour. I put 60 minutes because there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. And I had to put that in the top so that there was a minutes in the numerator and minutes in the denominator so they would cancel out, leaving only gallons per hour, which is what the problem asked for. Now we need to finish by multiplying all three of these ratios. 5 times 1 times 60 is 300 gallons over 1 times 3 and 785 thousandths times 1. Well, anything times 1 stays the same, times 1 again stays the same. So it's still going to be 3 and 785 thousandths of an hour. I need to simplify because we have an improper fraction. We have 300 over 3 and 785 thousandths. We want to know how many times that goes into it, so we're going to divide. We're going to divide 300 by 3 and 785 thousandths, which comes out to gallons per hour.